All right, we are live. Hello, Tom Ritter. Greetings from the fifth dimension, and welcome to Happy Dance's Guide to the Revolution.
All right, fifth dimension.
Yeah, the fifth dimension. It's love.
Oh, okay.
We're just discovering it again, but it turns out that fifth dimension's love. So I like to start with that little reminder here in these podcasts.
Nice.
No?
It's funny when you were long before you were born. There used to be a show on it called The Jetsons. And they made a phone call. George spoke into these. Phones, like a camera phone, like we're doing now. When this Skype and FaceTime and everything started.
Yeah.
I was looking at my girlfriend. I was like, you know what? She said, what? I said, we're in the Jetson age.
Yeah. Well, they say that science fiction predicts science fact. That, you take what's available and your imagination gets a hold of it and you create science fiction, and then ultimately it all comes true in the end. Pretty strange.
Let's hope that don't hold true.
Yeah.
Senile robot.
Yeah. Our robot maids and things. So let's talk about how we know each other. So our families became friends in like the early to mid 90s. I was just a young pup, and you were living in Mount Cobb and with your wife, and you guys became friends with my folks. And I knew that my older brother was like friends with your daughter Amber, but it's really weird. When I was thinking about kind of talking with you, I thought about this like early memory that I have that you guys came over to our house there in Mount Cobb, and we had a Nintendo, like the original Nintendo Entertainment System. And like, we were pretty young, so we weren't like all that good at it. But your other son, Josh, got on the controller and played, and we were like super impressed because he like was doing really good in the game and got to like levels that I didn't even know like existed, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, and I don't know what year that was, probably like 94 or 96 or somewhere in that range. I don't know, you probably know better than I do, but I was thinking about that was kind of the first memory I have of you guys.
And 92, 93.
In that range.
I was right after Tom was born. That was 92, 90. Yeah, we Amber and Dean, your older brother, went to school together.
Yeah.
And you got to know your mother from what was Greece, I think, was they had a play at the school.
That's right.
I think it was
second grade, I think it was. Second grade class did it. Grease Lightning.
And we got to know Mom through there, and Shane and Amber became like best friends, and she used to be over your house all the time playing.
Yeah.
And we used to come over quite often, just hang out, bullshit, and whatnot. It was fun times.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's where Amber came home one day and she was doing your little dance, And I looked there and said, what the hell are you doing? She said, oh, that's the Happy Feet dance. I learned it over Barb's. And God, I was waiting for this, like we had Timmy the Tiger videos and the Barney videos. And
yep.
It's like, oh, no, not another one of these stupid videos.
Yeah.
Like Barney was a fixation on our TV for must have been 6-7 years.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I was watching some old videos the other day of singing the Barney songs as little kids, and old footage of like doing some construction there at the house when they converted it from like the trailer to the modular home. Some old funny footage, man. 90s were funny times, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they were messed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was for you guys. I mean, that was your childhood. For me, that was like the transitional decade from, I don't know what you call it, young and stupid to middle-aged and hoping for the best.
Yeah, so you were about my age at the time,
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
at that age, A little bit young and stupid, a little bit middle-aged.
I would have been 30 in 94, so.
Yeah, so about that. I'm 29 right now, so yeah, pretty much.
Holy shit.
So here we are,
yeah,
circle.
It's crazy. Amber's Shane's age, you're Tom's age, and I think Dylan is Casey's age.
Just about.
I just don't know where the hell the years went. I mean,
all right.
Yeah, I talked to your mom here and there. She'd be like, "Oh, Jordan started college."
Yep. And then I'm on this thing.
And he's not supposed to be out of high school yet.
No. Yeah, man. It goes pretty quick, right? And then I also had a question.
So what are you doing?
You play music with my grandfather, my Papa Chick, sometimes. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. How did that all come about? How did you get hooked up with him? How long you been doing that?
Geez. I grew up in a bar called the 21 Bar, People's Bar over here in Madisonville.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad used to stop in when he'd have gigs up here, or your grandfather, I mean.
Yep.
Stop in up here when he had gigs. And the bar owner, I mean, it was like a music bar. Everybody in there played a little something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 12 years old or so, and your dad would stop in, and he'd sit at the bar and sing and play. Just a couple of songs. And so it was always a big deal because the way Joe, the bar owner, put it, your grandfather was like this big Nashville recording artist. And
yep.
So, it was always a big thing. He knew Chick was stopping by. Everybody got, tuned up and ready. I remember sitting in the bar playing songs with your grandfather when I was like 12. And, yeah. Here comes a funny twist to this story. Your grandfather sitting there one night, we're talking. He said to me, I got a daughter about your age. So, really? It's like, yeah. She'd love you. She's wild and she has a good time. She's a really nice kid. And I'm thinking to myself, at 12 years old, you don't think much. And thinking to myself, nah.
Yeah.
So, you guys should get together some night. I'll bring her up early in the evening and whatever you guys can meet. Like, nah, yeah. So that was when I was 12. And then I met your mother when she was... Oh, hell, how old were we? About 24, 25, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Didn't know who she was. As far as where the story's going.
Right.
So anyway, we hanging out, you and your dad and your mom. And one day what was I saying? So one day I was talking to your mom, and she said, "Oh, my father's going to be playing here or there." Oh yeah, who's your dad? She said, "Chick Reeves." Going, light bulb was up.
Yeah.
Like, Chick is your dad? This is, many, many years later.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Chick is my dad. I used to be Barbara or whoever. And I was like, oh, I was flabbergasted because this is like 12, 13 years between when me and your grandfather used to play in a bar.
Right.
Yeah. He was telling me about meeting your mother, and then I know your mother. It was weird.
That's funny.
So, yeah, it is. We got together over there at the backyard party and on the 4th and just started jamming, and it's been going now. I think it's about 8 years now. We don't have the 4th of July parties anymore.
Yeah.
But that VFW benefit, I think this is...
Yeah.
This will probably be the 6th year I've jammed with him over there at that.
I look forward to going to that every year that I'm available to go. It's always a good time. We get the whole family out there. Good, big benefit for the VFW. You guys take the stage with Treva there too. She gets on the bass guitar. You guys rock it, man. That's some good times there.
Yep.
And then I was thinking about like how he took the name of Chick Reeves and kind of how he has this stage name of Chick Reeves, even though like really he's Bernard Herbowski, And I kind of was thinking about how I'm kind of doing that with my trail name from hiking the Appalachian Trail of Happy Dance. And then I'm kind of taking that as my stage name here, starting this podcast and kind of using it because like, I don't know, Chick Reeves is like cool. Chick Reeves can do things that Bernard Hrabowski can't do almost. It's like the reason anybody takes on like a nickname or like a stage name, you know, it's like it's got something to it, some flair to it.
But you got to look at it this way. If I was going to go out and buy a CD or whatever,
yeah,
would I buy Bernard Grabowski or would I buy Chick Reeves?
Right. Exactly.
One you're expecting polkas, the other one you're not quite sure.
Exactly. Just like would anybody tune in to watch Jordan Crawley's Guide to the Revolution? Maybe, maybe not. But if you saw Happy Dance's Guide to the Revolution, you might be like, "What is that about? That's interesting." You know?
Yeah, it's almost like putting that anonymous guy on it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like from what's that movie? V for Vendetta, the mask there, sort of, right? Is that what you're talking? Anonymous.
That was weird. I used to have a YouTube follower because I have a YouTube channel also. And I used to have a YouTube follower that used that moniker, that mask, and the name Anonymous.
Yep.
And he would always get on and make comments about different videos I did that were just like super way out there. And it was like, you know, I'm not sure I want to be associated with this just because I don't want to be associated with that kind of. It was some of the things he said was down close to treachery.
Yeah.
You know, it's the country, and it was like, I don't know if I want to be associated with this, so I got rid of him. But
yeah,
that whole anonymous thing, that went far-reaching.
Yeah. So that's a good transition to kind of talk about what I'm trying to do here with the podcast and the movement. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a good thing that I'm trying to do here, or a bad thing? Comments, criticisms? Like, where are you at with all this? Questions?
Yeah. Question number one is, what are you trying to do?
Can you repeat it one more time? What's the question?
My question would be, what are you trying to do with it?
Yeah. So the main goal is nonpartisan political reform, specifically using technology to give democracy back to the people. So what I would like to see happen is combining some things that we already have, such as like the power of and simplicity of like Facebook, with the collaborative capacity of Wikipedia, with the security of things like blockchain technology, to have a more direct form of democracy rather than kind of how we're operating now. And more broadly speaking, I guess it's just like, if we had the creative control to redesign a system, like how would we do it? Like, what would we do? How could we better design government to serve people, you know, in a way that's efficient and fair and that we actually like, you know? So it's kind of broad, but that's like kind of the general theme of this.
Well, you know, it's just my personal opinion, but as far as like redesigning government to serve the people,
yeah,
I don't really think you're going to be able to ever.
Okay.
Even the government of 1776 wasn't exactly for the people either.
Right.
And if you look back at that part of history, oddly, they were doing the same thing to people back then that they're doing now. They're just making big promises and not fulfilling them.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really care who goes down underneath them. It's who goes down with them. I personally, myself, my opinion is the only way we're going to be able to do this is, number one, short and ultimate. It's like a teacher in school. You've had them at North Pocono. They're 35, 40 years, but they've never taken updated classes to bring them up to stuff on the newer stuff.
Right.
They're teaching crap they taught you to teachers. Same thing in Congress and the Senate. You got people running around in there. They're not there to help you and I. They're there for the money, number one. Number two, they've been there so long, and they probably has ass crews worn in their chairs already.
Yeah.
That's got to change. What you kids need nowadays is not what I needed when I was your age.
Right. Agreed. Yep.
And if you have somebody that's 30 years older than me trying to run the country and tell you what they're so completely out of tune, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, I have kids your age, and I have to call them up and say, "What in the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And they don't realize that people in my age bracket, we were into politics as far as, what the president wants to do, this, that, and the other thing, and basically left it alone. It was, it was our government. It was none of our business. You kids nowadays are really politically active like they were back in the late 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, there's not a person in the White House, or not in the White House, but there's not a person in Washington that gives a flying fuck what you kids do or what's going to happen with your generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a sad thing, because whatever happens out there directly affects whatever happens out here in the real world. And if you guys don't have a voice and nobody's really in tune with you, or you have a voice and it's just kind of like a parental thing when you used to tune out your parents because they yelled at you too much. You guys can yell all you want; they're just going to yell and do what they want. It's sad, but my personal point of view is I'd whitewash Washington, get rid of everybody, and seriously take back the veto power we have to say, okay, you're not doing your job, get your ass out of here.
Yeah.
Like we have some political figures here, right in the Scranton area, with the Caseys. One was a governor, son's a senator. They ain't doing shit for nobody. All they're in there for is the money.
Mm-hmm.
And, my personal dealings with them, because I used to take care of their lawn in Scranton, is that they were a bunch of stuck-up assholes, and they didn't give a shit about nothing but their wallet and their money.
Right.
That's not what we need in there as a politician.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What we need in there is somebody that says, hey, you know what? I'm the representative of this little corner of the state. And we need some shit here, and, go there and fight until we get what we need. That's what they're elected for.
Yeah.
People are jumping all over this. I have never seen in, 9 presidents now, a more argumentative lay of the land between Democrats and Republicans as this last presidency with Trump in there.
Yeah.
And I honestly think what happened is Hillary was scheduled to go in there because they'll put in there who they want to, no matter what we say. She was scheduled to win, but when they found out all these emails that went to the Russians, they started scrambling, and he accidentally just fell into it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a planned thing, and that's what threw them all off, and that's why they're all up in arms. But, they wasn't expecting him to go in there and do what he's doing, because he's actually putting America back on their feet. Our unemployment's down. Our economy's up. Excuse me. I mean, he's doing what a president should be doing, and they're getting mad at him because he tells the country to go screw yourself. Well, that's what he's there for, because, Jordan Crowley and Tom Ritter can't go to, North Korea and say, hey, Kim, go fuck yourself. Yeah. But Trump won. And he's doing it for us, and that's what he's there for, our leader. And they don't like it.
Well, I understand why they're upset.
I don't understand why anybody should be upset. Number one, if you're there to serve the people, which they're there to serve the people, then you should listen to the people you're serving. If they're happy with it, shut the fuck up. If they're not happy with it, well, then make some waves.
Mm-hmm.
Over the summertime, we had this big shit about gun control and whatever. If you feel you're threatened by somebody with a gun, you can cops arrest them, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
oh, the country was up in arms. Everybody was getting ready for, this, that, and the other thing. Oh, I'm running a mountain. It's mass hysteria. It's Civil War 5-1. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I told everybody to just calm down because it's nothing but a ruse to cover up something else. And sure enough, you looked underneath, there was something going through. They were trying to pass some stupid bill because everybody was in mass hysteria over this red flag thing. The same thing with the impeachments. Now they're trying to impeach Trump, and nobody's looking at the underlying of what's going through, because every time they get the public and everybody in an uprising,
Yep.
they can squish something through the cracks. We don't see it because, everybody's upset because Trump's getting impeached, and all of a sudden some new bill or law comes to pass that we haven't really heard about because everybody was worried about Trump, or everybody was worried about this or that or the other thing. And, it's sad to, in my position, it's sad for me because I grew up in a generation where our parents believed in the government. Not totally trusted, but believed in the government.
Right.
And I've gone from that, like the John F. Kennedy era, to now the Trump era, and watched this whole political system fall apart. Nobody's doing anything to fix it. But there are rulers, there are leaders, there are whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And if they're so corrupt that what we see coming out now is pretty bad compared to what we had seen when I was a young man. But if they're that corrupt, it's almost scary to think the world that we live in now is nothing but backdoor, too horrible to think of. But it's bad. It's not. It leaves you on a very. It's like walking on Jello,
Yeah.
You ever see that thing where they use the corn flour? As long as you run across it, your weight's okay.
Yeah, it's called a non-Newtonian fluid. I learned about it. Fluid.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our political system is. If we run across it, it'll hold our weight. The country will run great. But if we stand still, we're going to sink.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's just my opinion on the whole thing.
And you're right, and I'm trying to have like an optimistic view on all this because I don't feel like it does me any good to kind of give up and say there's nothing we can do. First of all, I'm not sure I believe that. I do think there probably are things we can do, and we've seen people do amazing things in the past, and we're people, so we can do amazing things in the present, So I think, people like myself and kids, your kids and that age group, we don't really trust the government, it seems like. We don't really trust any of them. We don't trust the red team. We don't trust the blue team. Most of us don't even like the concept of the parties, and we kind of are sick of it, and I think we're hoping we can do something better. Now, whether we get caught in the same traps, the same cycles of corruption and greed and fall victim to the same kind of circumstances, then maybe we're no better, But I guess time will tell,
Well, it's like everything else. The late 60s and 70s, they protested, they tried to change things. It was hard, but you really can't stick your finger into a light socket.
Yep.
You can stand out there and tell people, hey, we don't like the way the electricity is running. It's going to be the same thing with your generation and everybody else's generation until we can figure out a way that we, the people,
right,
can dislodge the core of shit that's in Washington and put in new blood. Not saying they're going to be any better, not saying they're going to be any worse, but new blood is new blood.
Yep.
Put in new blood into that situation. Nothing's going to change. Your generation, let's just say, I don't even know some of the newer politicians, but politicians that's in the age bracket of, say, youth of, up into their 40s.
Yep.
Standards are their 70s and 80s. So whatever they stand for now is going to continue up till, and in between they're going to get more corrupt because they're going to learn a better way of doing it.
Mm.
And then, there's going to be another 3 generations behind you that's going to say, hey, you know what? We got to dislodge the core of shit out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be like that. I've been all over the world, and this is the greatest country out there.
Yeah.
We make ourselves look like damn asshole because we're arguing with our leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, in some countries we are a laughing stock. But it's like, well, you got a leader in there that's trying to do something good for you, but yet your politicians want to throw them out and make them, give them a bad name, and then they're making a laughing stock out of my country. I don't like it.
Yeah. So what should we do? I mean, do you have any ideas for like what we can be doing to improve all this? Like, you kind of mentioned, like, it seemed like you were for things like term limits for Congress. I think that's probably a pretty good idea. Anything else that you think we could do better, like specifically to change some things?
In my estimation, outside of term limits, what the people should be given back the power that was given to us in the Constitution.
Yeah.
The Constitution was wrote by our forefathers so that we don't get trampled on by tyranny.
Right.
Well, that was, 250 years ago, 260 years ago.
Huh.
And in that short span of time, we're not only getting trampled on, we're being trampled, but in that Constitution that was originally written, which is our preamble of laws.
Yeah.
We're given the right to say, okay, Miss Pelosi, you're a fuck up. Get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
If you don't retire gracefully, we have the power to retire you.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, and that would have to create your Nancy Pelosi supporters, your Nancy Pelosi detractors. Now that would cause an argument there, and so on and so far up. What people really don't understand, anybody divided can be conquered or slaved.
Right.
Anybody that's unified, it's hard to beat them, and you're definitely not going to enslave them.
Right.
This country is, and they make it that way in life. The government does make it this way. Is so divided that we'll live together to be able to do what the Constitution tells us we have the right to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because the powers that be keep it so divided that we don't have the opportunity to band together and say, okay, there's 200,000 of us standing outside here on Lackawanna Avenue, Washington, D.C., saying, you're screwed up. Get out of here.
Right.
Because on the other side, you would have, X amount of people that's protesting that, they love the job. Why should they get the monitor? You tell us why. And it would create a civil war. And that's, unfortunately, maybe that's what we do need is another civil war to put this country back on track.
Man, that's crazy because the last civil war we had was so damn bloody and so many Americans lost their lives. And if we can avoid it, I would like to try to avoid it. I think if there's a way we can just talk through these things to get on the same page and stop being divided against each other, I think there's, we have more in common than we have, against each other, I would say. More alike than we are different.
That would be so nice if we could have a deliberation table with representatives, good representatives, to sit down and mediate this whole thing.
Right.
That would be so wonderful. Because if you look at it this way, and the way I look at it too is a couple of months ago, it was all over Facebook about the third Civil War coming and this, that, and the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't realize is this. 1861 to 1865, we fought a war. with single shot rifles.
Yeah.
You can get off 3 rounds a minute.
Yeah.
168,000 men died in this war.
Yeah.
Not foreign countries, American men and civilians besides.
Yep.
With single shot rifles, with the technology we have nowadays, you can fire a 3-round burst in a little under a second. You can put out as much firepower in under a second these guys put out in a minute.
Yeah.
And brother, I'm telling you, if it ever comes down, and God, I pray it don't, to a civil war, there's going to be so much carnage. It's going to be beyond belief.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to try to avoid that if possible, And the way that I'm going about it is not picking a team. I'm not on the red team. I'm not on the blue team. I don't identify as a Republican. I don't identify as a Democrat. I'm trying to be a moderate and be like a radical moderate. So like what I mean by that is like a lot of times things just need compromise. Like we need to find middle ground here and try some things out, because probably what you're going to try isn't going to work that great anyway. So you got to try some different things and experiment and be willing to fail and make adjustments,
That's the thing. I don't identify Republican or Democrat either. I'm an independent.
Mm-hmm.
And, I went to vote. You have your primaries and you have your generals.
Yeah.
I went to vote for primaries. I was told I couldn't vote for primaries because I'm an independent.
That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit, I think. It's like I understand why those laws are in place, but it doesn't work for people. Like you're forcing people to pick a team, and it's like that's not what people want. People don't want to pick a team. They want compromise. They want to be represented, and they want a practical solution to be brought forward and attempted.
Yeah. And I think people in general just want to be treated as a human being, not as a number.
Right. Yep.
Our wonderful township where you lived here.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I'm becoming slowly one of the elders of the town.
Yeah.
And I'm just a number. I'm not, I'm not Tom Ritter, the guy that lived here for the last 53 years or whatever. I'm just a number. I'm number 743 on the voter registration, and that's it. There's no respect given to anybody out here. And I think that's a lot has to do with it too. Nobody respects anybody else's feelings about things.
Yeah.
As I watch on Facebook, you put a post on her, and you got people bashing you from all sides because of your opinion.
Yeah.
But yet when they put their opinion on, they get mad if you bash them, and there's just no mutual ground or respect for anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's not even respect for ourselves anymore as a human race. I mean, mankind has always really killed itself and chopped itself up as far as killing and whatnot. But nowadays, one thing you didn't do years ago, they didn't kill women and children. They had respect for the children. They had respect for the female of the species. And
right.
There's no respect for anybody anymore. Not even, like I said, for themselves.
Yeah.
We've got people out here in this town alone that was a man for 40 years. Married to his wife. I think they were 35 years long married. Woke up one day, decided he was a woman, started cross-dressing and left his wife.
Yeah.
Hey, I understand it's something that, in your psyche or whatever, but good God Almighty, have some respect for yourself and some respect for your family.
I know, but what if the alternative was that person never came forward about how they really feel, and they became so depressed with hiding that they killed themselves? Is that better than dressing like a woman?
Well, see, now here's the fine edge.
Yeah.
The fine edge would be if you had the respect for your family, your wife, your children. Yeah, that would be your ultimate outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the coin is if you don't have any self-respect for yourself and it's just my feelings, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's nice, but now you just disrespected your family, made them look like a bunch of idiots.
Uh-huh.
What's your kid supposed to say? Oh, my dad was dad yesterday. Today he's mom dad.
Uh-huh.
What's your job going to say? You know, I hired Bob and now I got Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't take responsibility for their actions and have that respect for the base core of what is in family life nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about me, what I can do, what my feelings are right at this particular moment. To be honest with you, Jordan, back in the 40s, back in the 20s, back in the 1700s,
Yeah.
there was men or cross-dressers, transvestites. There was also gay people.
Yeah.
And, you know, odd part is about the 1700s
Yeah.
is that they were allowed to be whatever they wanted to be.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of weird. It was kind of a free-for-all, but if you look back then, they were allowed to be what they wanted to be, and nobody really judged them. Now, you can't be what you really want to be. I mean, there's parameters in life. You gotta uphold them parameters of, you know, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a worker, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't just because you know, like me, for instance. I don't want to live in this house. I want to live in a cabin in the middle of the woods. I'll wake up in the morning and shoot my breakfast and, you know, just live a simple life. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I've got children. I've got a house. I've got family. I've got whatever. So I realized that, you know, life is life. I've got to live life, and I can't do exactly what I want when I want to do it.
Yeah.
No matter what you want to do. If you want to run outside right now and moon traffic just for the hell of it, yeah, you know what? There's parameters there. You're going to get your ass arrested, literally.
Right.
But you won't do it because you know it's not right. You won't do it because you know you're going to embarrass your mother and your father. You're not, you know, whatever. But you don't do it. One of the big problems that I see in the world outside of politics and everything is the fact that everybody's on a free-for-all mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's no respect for family. There's no respect for sometimes your own human dignity. It's just a free-for-all. I'm going to do what I want because I feel like doing it now, and that's it. It's my right.
Well, isn't that like what liberty is, sort of? Is like individual freedom to express yourself and be who you want to be and not have anybody restrict that unfairly? Isn't that sort of what defines freedom?
That's what defines freedom, yes. But true freedom, think about it like this. What you're talking about is what I call true freedom.
Uh-huh.
Freedom to do anything you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
What would this world become? What would your life become if everybody around you, everybody in the world said, okay, we're going to do exactly what we want to do right now? That would throw this country and the world into such chaos that God only knows. I couldn't even tell you what could happen.
Right.
Because there's no parameters that you got to follow guidelines.
Well, it's kind of like the old saying, I forget where this is from, but like your freedom to throw your fists in the air like ends where my face begins, you know? So you're free to express yourself and do what you like as long as it's not negatively impacting another person and their freedoms, you know? So,
right.
You know, like committing a crime against somebody or harassing them in some way, you know, you're clearly infringing on their freedoms. But, you know, deciding that you want to change how you express your gender, that doesn't seem like it's really hurting anybody, does it? Like, who was injured for that?
It depends where your situation in life is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a single person, you know, your age or whatever, you're single, whatever, you know, you have some family and friends that might be a little bit offended, not talk to you, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're like this gentleman here, you know, they had 3 kids in school, wife, established,
Sure.
in a town or whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day you wake up and you're a woman now. Yeah, like you said, you do have that freedom. That's
Yeah.
true. But now you just made a laughing stock out of your family.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you didn't give a shit much about their feelings because you didn't really think about this.
Mm-hmm.
You just ruined a 35-year marriage. Well, what's your wife supposed to think? I've been sleeping with this for 35 years. So if you have an open life to be able to, with the gender changes and transsexuality and whatever,
Yeah.
if you have an open life to do it, you're going to offend, you're going to hurt some people. But if you don't have an open life and you created a life with kids and a wife and everything else, and you're going to throw that all out the window because of your personal feelings, generally you're a self-centered asshole at that point. You don't have a freedom. You lock yourself into this corner now. If that's the way you feel about things, tell your wife, tell your kids, move to somewhere else and stay there. They don't have to go through the embarrassment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's just like,
hey, express yourself all you want. Just don't hurt other people while you're doing it.
Yeah. And those people that go through those changes and make those difficult decisions to transition, I feel like they're probably taking their families into account. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not doing it to hurt anybody. They're not doing it to make anybody's lives more difficult than they already are. They're doing it because like they feel like they're going to die if they don't. If they can't be who they are, then why be anything at all, sort of. It's like, so I get it. Like I understand what you're saying, that it makes your family's life difficult. It's almost like you don't want to be a disappointment to your family. You know what I mean? But on the other end of it, like if they loved you unconditionally, which is what family's supposed to do, then they should find a way to like accept you for who you are and like thank you for having the courage to like express who you are, and like doesn't really change anything. It's just how they want. That's just how they feel. It's like if you found out like one of your, like, I don't know. I don't know what a good comparative example is, but
here's the generation gap experience right here.
Yep, it is.
Your generation, that's the way most of you kids feel. My daughters are, your age and everything. And that's the way they feel about things. Yep. Your family should support you. My generation feels that you should support your family.
Yep.
No matter what you do, your family should be behind you. No matter what your family does, you should be behind them. It's a headbutt. It's going to be forever. Me and Amber butt heads like on a weekly basis on Facebook about.
Yeah, I saw she called you out on one of the posts you made. If we want to switch and we can talk about that a little bit. It was you posted like the thing of number of Americans killed in a mass shooting in 2018, and the number was 194. And underneath it said number of Americans killed by illegal immigrants in 1918, 10,150. And then your daughter Amber gets on there and she's like, "That's not true. That's not true, Dad. Like this is made up. This is a made up number. Like look it up." And first of all, I just thought it was funny because I get in arguments with my mom on there sometimes too. So it's funny to see like the father-daughter or mother-son kind of openly debated on the Facebook floor sometimes. It's kind of funny. But anyway, like she said, look it up. So I looked it up too, and it does seem that the number is not correct from what I looked up. But then your comment I thought was even more interesting, because what you said was it's all false. Depends on which side you favor. And I think that's like really interesting and like really hits something important here. It's like, it reminds me of when someone says like Donald Trump is an idiot, when then somebody else says Bernie Sanders is an idiot. Like, are they both right? Are they both wrong? Like, is it who's right here? Like, and like you said, it depends on what you believe. But it's weird because like numbers, when it comes to like reporting an actual number, that shouldn't be like an opinion. That should be like a fact, And it's like to
Right.
show the kind of times that we're living in, where even like fact can be skewed or like used to support an argument where maybe it's not even, the number might not even be true, you know?
You know, that particular post now,
Yeah.
I will grant you that there's probably more people shot by illegal immigrants than mass shootings.
The number obviously put up was 1,600 approximately. That's what ICE reported at 1,600 compared to 194. So it's definitely still more, but it's like almost a full order of magnitude less than that other number that was reported. Still a high number. Still a high number.
So you got the one side of the people, like I said again, they've got to keep you divided. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I put these posts out, just to see how divided people really are.
Mm-hmm.
And the odd part is, I used to think it was mostly your generation. But if you notice in that particular post, there was a gentleman on there. Let's just say his name was Bill. And, he was the first one that jumped. That's false news, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. If you put the three of us in the room, here I am, I'm this way. Amber's your generation. Bill is older than I am. He's from the old 70s generation.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in the middle. He believes there should be gun control, but yet he owns guns. So Bill's kind of like the counterweight to everybody's stupidity. It's just sometimes fascinating to watch how you can, younger generation, middle generation, the older generation, this generation, where they fall in the line. People are, when I was a kid, you basically had lines of people. The sheep followed one path, the black sheep followed this path, and the gray sheep followed the other path.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's the whole herd going, which in itself is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because your generation and Bill's generation and my generation can all walk down the same path with the same beliefs. Didn't happen when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if you were a Democrat, well, in this town you were okay, but if you went over to Moscow, which was Republicans, they didn't like you.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to be around them. But nowadays, everybody can walk down the same pathways, which is a great thing because you can learn 2 generations of knowledge to put with your newer generation. I can learn what the young kids are thinking, plus know what the generation before me was thinking and went through. Mm-hmm. So it's a great thing. But it only happens on a minute basis in this country.
Yeah.
People like you and I, your age and my age, will generally sit down and fight and argue, scratch our eyes out like 2 cats. Instead of just sitting down and hearing each other's opinions, give it a while. Think about it. Is he right? Does he have a good point?
And that's why I'm trying to do this, because I want to hear people's thoughts on things. Like, for example, you shared another post about guns or gun control, basically comparing the war on drugs to the war on guns. So, like, I want to get your opinion and your thoughts on things like what level of gun control should there be? Should there be none? Should there be some? Like, what do you think makes sense?
Okay, I'm sorry, Jordan, you were
breaking up there a little bit. Yeah, I'll repeat myself. Basically, like when it comes to gun control, like what do you think makes sense to do? Like no gun control at all, some gun control, specifically like what should be in place to regulate these things in your opinion?
You're not going to. Here's the thing I've been saying forever.
Yeah.
8 million years ago, 2 cavemen, Ugga Bugga and Ooga Booga. They sat there and Ugga Bugga said, "Hey, he got skin. I want skin." Ugga Bugga said, "I'm not giving it to you." Ooga Booga picks up a rock, whacks him in the head, and kills him, takes his skin.
Yeah.
It's been going on since the dawn of man.
Yep.
Whether you take all the guns right now and strip the people clean, Okay, then they're going to go to another weapon.
Right.
To take every weapon in America and get rid of it. Somebody will pick up a branch, somebody will pick up a rock or use their fist and kill somebody. Mm-hmm. It's human nature. We don't understand it here in America because we live in America. If you get out of America, go to Central America, go to Mexico, third world countries.
Yeah.
Death is nothing. You can walk down the street and find dead bodies decaying in the streets. And people will walk over them. Mm-hmm. People will be sitting there wailing over a dead body of their loved one. And people will walk by and not give her a second glance. Here in America, we value life because we've been taught to, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And other civilized, so-called civilized countries, death has been going on since day one.
Sure.
You can take all the guns off all the people. I've argued this with many gun control people. I'm armed right now. You break into my house, take what you want. Don't hurt my family. When you start hurting my family, that's another matter. Material things can be replaced.
Right.
Life can't. I don't want to take anybody's life. I had the opportunity 3 or 4 times in my household to take somebody's life. Rightfully. My wife and I, Cindy, when she was alive, she actually got attacked by one person that was living in my household. And then the guy turned around and attacked me. By legal standards, I had the right to defend my castle, defend my family, whatever. I don't want to kill anybody. Life is precious, no matter how good or bad it is. But you come in my house, rob me, take my material possessions, don't hurt my family. All right. Same deal after gun control. The guy comes through my door carrying an AK or a 9mm or whatever.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Throw a rock at him? Because they took all my guns.
Right.
On a criminal element, they don't give a shit if they get arrested for having a gun.
Right.
And they have access to guns. You can go to, the dump down here in Scranton or Wilkes-Barre. It might take a little bit of searching, but you can come up with a gun. Okay. Well, I'm a law-abiding citizen here, Mr. Officer. Here's my weapon. Who's going to stop the criminals that now know that we're not armed from going out and buying a BB gun, for God's sake?
Right.
And walking into your house and saying, hey, I'm going to molest your daughters and your sons and kill your wife or whatever. And there's nothing you can do about it because I've got the gun.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to stop them.
So back to the question, what policies should be in place or shouldn't be in place to control all that?
Well, I've been told I have a rather radical opinion of this.
Let's hear it.
But I've seen it work in other countries.
Uh-huh.
If you get caught committing any crime, let's say with a substandard weapon as is a knife, a baseball bat, chains, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
You lose a hand, period.
Whoa. All right.
If you get caught breaking an entry, whatever you're going to do with a weapon that will fire a projectile, from BB guns to tanks, let's just say, you lose your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't give a shit enough about the human beings you live with to do something that you're going to do stupidly, but endanger your life and their life, then you shouldn't be in society.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it in other countries, and there's other countries out there that do have that policy, and their crime as far as violent gun crimes and stuff like that is virtually non-existent. Because number one, the populace is armed.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I know if I pick up a gun right now and rob your house and I get caught, I'm dying. There's nothing in your house worth my life.
Right.
If I take a knife, a chain, a club, or whatever, and I beat the hell out of you, they're cutting off my hand.
Yeah. Pretty
There's
severe.
nothing.
Yeah.
Our penal system in this country is so lenient right now.
Mm-hmm.
People don't care if they go to jail.
Right.
I've heard this said out of friends of mine who were bikers and other types.
Yeah.
Okay, what are they going to do? Put me in jail? They're going to feed me 3 times a day. I've got a bed to sleep in.
Yeah.
All the fights I want to do, all the drugs I want to get. And I'm looking at them like, you're in jail. Well, yeah, as long as you have the right connection, you can get anything you want.
That's crazy too.
I've sat here with guys that just came out of the Scranton penitentiary down here. And this is like minimal. This is for, drunks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was telling me to go from one floor to another, from one block to another, from the male side to the female side. And I'm sitting there figured out this much, and you've got the world by the ass, because you should really become like the next Albert Einstein. But they get TV, they get structure time. Even the people on death row. All right, you got 3 life sentences. We're going to take your life sometime after you die of old age.
Yeah. Huh. Well,
Just take the kids, all them kids at Columbine. They're sitting on death row. They're going to be sitting there the rest of their lives. The rest of their lives, guys like you, not so much me because I'm retiring, or I'm retired, or I would be retiring in another 5 to 10 years.
yeah.
But guys like you're in your 20s yet. You've got to pay the rest of your life. You have to support the guy that you don't like that shot up that school.
Yeah.
People don't realize this because part of your taxes that you pay every year goes to support these people in prison.
Mm-hmm.
The same kids that shot all them kids in Columbine and Sandy Hook and the numerous other school shootings. You're supporting them. You're going to be supporting them the rest of your life. Why? Because we have a very relaxed system that says, I'm going to let you appeal this 250,000 times until you die of old age. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Huh. Well, so basically what you're saying is your strategy is to increase the penalties for committing these crimes, which, I don't know, that might work. That might have some positive benefit. It could have some negative sides too, but I definitely understand like why you feel that way, Something that I was thinking about with respect to gun control recently was because I'm always trying to like come up with a compromise that like makes sense. So what if we treated gun ownership like we do car ownership? Like we don't restrict car ownership to anybody. Like once you're 16, you're able to get a license. You're able to drive wherever the hell you want for however long you want. You just got to show that you've studied a little bit. You pass some basic safety and you get your permit, and then you get some supervision under somebody who knows what they're doing, and then you get a license, and nobody ever really questions it. And they're kind of similar in a lot of ways. They're machines. They're dangerous. They could be used for a lot of good. They could also be used for a lot of bad. It's a lot of responsibility to kind of have one of those in your hands. And
point right there.
Yep.
Responsibility.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it is. It's a lot of responsibility, getting in a car, you're putting your life at danger. You're putting other people's lives at danger. If you have a gun, your life's in danger. The people around you are, you have the potential to hurt them or protect them. There's a lot of responsibility that goes with carrying that. And, I certainly don't want to restrict that right to anybody. I might lean left on a lot of issues, but when it comes to gun rights, I'm pretty sure I lean pretty hard to the right, but I do think that having some form of permit process wouldn't be a bad thing. That way you can obtain it legally. Nobody would have any issues that wanted to go about obtaining legal firearms. And yeah, you're still going to have criminals that drive around without a license, that risk it, that, don't have car insurance. They steal a car, whatever. You're always going to have that,
Right.
So,
and you're still going to always have guys that buy guns on the black market.
Right.
Or steal them.
Right.
And do bad with them. That's just the way humans are. You're not going to control it no matter how you do it.
Yeah. I think in general, trying to restrict things doesn't really work. Like, it always seems to be counterproductive. Like, if you look at like alcohol prohibition in this country, like that was a miserable failure. Or even just the fact that you think making the drinking age 21 is going to stop people from drinking. Like, teenagers drink all the time. Like, it doesn't stop anything. If anything, it just makes it underground and secretive and dangerous.
But here's the fun part.
Yeah.
I've been smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, and drinking since I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped me at 11 from getting pot.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped me at 11 from getting beer.
Yeah.
I used to walk into a distributor, the one in particular, at the age of 13 and buy cases of beer because I looked 21.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you're just not going to try to control it. All you're going to do is piss people off. You're going to raise all kind of hell with the populace, possibly even scare people into doing things that they would normally want and do. Just take Virginia, for instance.
Yeah.
For the last month or so, we're going to confiscate everybody's guns. The gun sales of if I believe I got it right, was like 3.8% higher.
Yeah.
The last month than it has been in the last 10 years because everybody's buying up guns that, okay, now this makes sense. I'm buying an $800 gun that last month was $400 so that maybe next month somebody's going to take it off me.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with an AR-15? I am a gun owner. I love my guns. Everybody knows that. Yeah. I personally myself, I owned an AR-15 for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
It sat in my closet so long I had to dust it off when I sold it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have no use for it. Now, if we live in a state like, I think Montana is one of them.
Yeah.
They don't restrict the use of any weapons. You can use an AR, you can use an AK, an SKS, whatever you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Then it makes sense to own something like that because I can take it out and I can hunt it and I can use it responsibly. So there's, it's a viable weapon.
Mm.
For the gun owner side of it, it's a viable weapon because they want something like that in their collection. You take it out, you take it to the range, you shoot it. It's a viable weapon. On the other hand, people make them look so bad. Well, I'm not going to start flash weapons on screen, but the thing is that, I've had guns all my life.
Yeah.
I have never had a gun shoot out. So I've never had a gun shoot itself. It was always human error.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the guns that are scary in this country.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the guns that we have to control. It's the people that have to be, for a lack of better term, controlled.
Mm.
But I don't mean it like that.
Right.
People need to be. When I was a kid, you had hope. You had that hope that when you grew up, you bought a house, you bought a car, you had the American dream, and you worked for something that you could keep, you could hang on to. This is mine.
Mm-hmm.
I worked hard for it. I owned it. Wow. You don't have that nowadays. Nobody has the American dream anymore. You guys, like you went to college, you became something, you bought a house, you bought this, that. And in a short minute, that could all fall apart. And you own nothing. You lost everything you own.
Yeah.
People don't have hope. They don't have any solid ground. If we could put powers that be in there that would give people the hope that I can make something of myself.
Yeah.
Because we have lawyers, we have people, psychiatrists, major college type people.
Yeah.
Go to college for 8-10 years of their life, doctors, and they can't work. They have no jobs. They're working at McDonald's. The last job I had, I worked as an accountant. I worked with a registered, because they couldn't find jobs, or they were just too lazy to keep them. I'm not sure which, but there was nothing there for them.
Yeah.
Everybody pushed the college thing. There's only so many job positions for college trained people.
Right.
I'm glad you went to college, and I 100% support you. You went to college for 8 years to become a doctor.
Yeah.
But what are you doing now? Oh, I work in a clinic. I'm out of work. I'm in between jobs. Because, okay, I believe you went to college for solar power?
Yeah, I'm energy engineering, but I did most of the solar work.
So, that's an up-and-coming field. So you have this position that's open, and it's carrying a trail behind it to where people could fill in that trail.
Right.
We don't have that anymore. We have so many kids going to college now. Like, going to become an accountant. The kid is a whiz with math. Excuse me. He doesn't have any openings. He's already graduated Penn State. He's working at a bank.
Yeah.
So there's nothing for him. My daughter is going to become my graphic designer, Amber.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there for her after she graduates. There's no jobs available. And, there's a status quo no matter how you do it, how you look at it, you got to balance. Yeah. It's just like the federal budget. They've got to balance it so that it's right. Yeah. The same thing with kids going to college and everything else. There's a plethora of kids going to college and a plethora of kids that don't, but it's not balanced anymore.
Yeah.
So there's no solid footing under anybody to say, hey, I've got that dream of ownership that I can work and make good, especially inner city kids.
Yeah.
That I can work and I can make good. And if they don't have something solid to stand on, what's the next thing they do? They're confused, they're disoriented, they turn to violence.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing left that's solid to them.
Yeah.
Bang! You're dead.
Yep.
That's solid.
And that's why, as a society, we have to be really careful, because if there's too many people at zero have nothing to lose, man. They're not afraid to do anything. They're not afraid to go to prison. They're not afraid to hurt people. If you're in a desperate situation, then you'll resort to desperate action. So we have, as a society, have to be really careful of too many people ending up at zero is not stable,
Right. And that's why we are unstable.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned the American dream, and it reminded me of another post you made this past week about Kobe Bryant. You asked the question, why is it so tragic? And you kind of made the argument that if it was you that died in a helicopter crash, that the news wouldn't be talking about it. And I would say, with respect to that, you are absolutely correct. Like, he was treated differently because of his celebrity status, But, like, I was talking about it with my brother, and we don't have royalty in this country. We don't have kings. We don't have queens. We don't have princes or princesses or any of that stuff. But people like rise to those positions anyway. And Kobe Bryant was sort of like American pop culture royalty. And I mean, he was even had royalty on an international level for his fame, you know. And and you're right. There was 8 other people. There was 8 other people on that helicopter, you know, and all of their lives are valuable and important. And you know, my heart breaks for all of them and all their family members, you know. But Kobe Bryant was inspirational to me, you know, and inspirational to other people my age. And we, you know, that inspiration is like worth something, you know. It's like
oh, sure it is.
It's because it's like it's the American dream that you talked about. Like he had talent, he had work ethic, and he had opportunity, and he put it all together into greatness, you know, and he sustained that over 20 years. So it was like, and for us, like people my age, like we looked up to him. He was one of the reasons why I like loved playoff basketball and like, you know, enjoyed playing the game because of people like him, you know.
Okay, well, let me explain something to you. And this might seem odd to you, but it is.
Yeah.
I had no idea who Kobe Bryant was. You just mentioned he was a basketball player. I didn't even know what sport he played.
Right. Yep.
The thing I all right, in this world, great or small,
yeah,
is so precious, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, okay, I'll understand a little bit better now that I guess he was some kind of a pop culture, sports figure, whatever.
Yeah. He was a star basketball player, but like at a like an elite level. Like he was internationally famous as a star athlete, you know?
Okay, so my question would be, and it's always going to be because just the way I feel about different things is,
right.
There was, what, 8 other people on that helicopter?
Correct.
I heard somebody had a 13-year-old daughter on there that died.
Yeah, it was his daughter, Kobe Bryant's daughter, was on the aircraft with him.
Then I heard there was other, you know, her coach and his kids and all kind of, I heard all kind of stories. But
yep.
Now, okay, Kobe Bryant was a sports figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I just recently stopped hearing about the whole thing on the news.
Yeah.
Didn't hear much about his daughter. Just, you know, she died. It was just the mother's 13 people or 5 people that was on that helicopter, 6 people.
Yeah.
Their lives aren't any more precious than his. It's just that he was more well known.
Mm-hmm.
So my view on that posted, it would be my view no matter who it was. If Donald Trump crashed in a helicopter, it would be the same thing. If John Wayne died in a helicopter crash, would be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Kobe Bryant was a sports figure, in my estimation, doesn't make his life any more celebrated, anything else than that, you know, 60-year-old coach, whatever it was, sitting next to him in a helicopter that died. Oh, that helicopter was tragic. Okay, he was more well known than, you know, John Doe that was sitting there with him.
Right.
But lives are no different, whether it be John Doe, Jane Doe, or Kobe Bryant and, you know, Rita Hayworth. To me, that's just, I play with blues musicians and stuff that, you know, tour internationally.
Yeah.
And they don't impress me because a man is a man, a woman's a woman, and a life is a life. You just had a lucky break, like, okay, Kobe Bryant, for instance, a basketball star.
Yep.
He got a lucky break and he got found. So his name got known.
Yeah.
There's probably kids out there playing street ball in a ghetto somewhere that will never be seen or heard ever. That's probably better than he was, or just as good as he was. But nobody will never know of them because they weren't found. So why make a monumental thing over a dead sports figure that and I understand he was an idol of yours, and I'm not taking that away from you.
Sure.
But why make this pronounced, sobbing, crying jag over one person when there was 6 other people on a helicopter, all the same life?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, like 13-year-old daughter, I would suspect he's in his 30s, maybe 40s.
He's 41.
At least. So he had a career behind him. He made his money. He made his life. That poor 13-year-old kid had something coming to her. She had a life that she needed to live. She won't be able to live now. So, in my estimation, if you're going to be sad and whatever, do it for the 13-year-old. Don't do it for the guy that already made a life. It's like me. If I died right now, I lived my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is where God wanted me to die, so therefore my life was done at that point.
Right.
Don't cry for me. Cry for my grandson that never got a chance to have a life with me or whatever.
Sure.
Now, if he dies, celebrate his death because, he didn't have a chance to get anywhere in life. He didn't even know what life was about, probably.
Right.
Same thing with this 13-year-old. And I'm not taking nothing away from this Colby guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, but the point of life is precious, no matter who it is or what it is.
Right.
And as you go down the line, you get to the younger kids.
Yeah.
My opinion is their life is really worth more because they can be molded. They can be what we're talking about. We want to see this country.
Sure. And I think if Kobe Bryant had the opportunity to give his life to save his daughter's life, I don't doubt that he would do it, just like most fathers would do it, And I agree that it's all tragic and it's all sad and like the loss of those lives are terrible. I think what's different is people felt like Kobe was part of their life because they had watched him and followed him for so long and he had such an impact on such a number of people. So it's like, when those other 8 people that passed away, like it's tragic and sad and it's sudden and it's terrible, but they weren't part of my life. Or like Kobe was part of my life in some way because like I have a Kobe jersey and I argued with people about whether he was better than Michael Jordan or whether he wasn't or whether he was better than LeBron or what the legacy was or, like it was like it's no different than like a music star. It's like, yeah, you don't know them. You never met them. Maybe you've seen them play a couple times or whatever, but because you've known them for 20 years, they're part of your life. Like you don't know their family members, you know what I mean? So like if their family members die, it's still sad and it's terrible, but like they're not part of your life. Like that music was part of your life or that sports figure was part of your life, and I'm not putting any like more stock in it than it deserves, but it's sad, especially when I think about all those guys that play in the NBA right now. Like most of them probably looked up to Kobe Bryant like their whole life. They were probably 10 years old in their backyard, like thinking about being like Kobe, and like to see those grown men crying too. And like the impact that he had on them, it like reminded me too of like, I don't know. I cried like 6 different times watching it and reading it. And it was like,
I understand all that. And it's true. I mean, you have Kobe Bryant. I have guys like, John Wayne, Benavidez, Ray Benavidez.
Yep.
The guys you look up to and their background of their life and they did something small in their own way by not knowing them even to change your life.
Right.
I understand all that. And, in my estimation too, and I talked to a couple of people about this, including my pastor, which he was just flabbergasted because now, if you were walking down the street, you didn't know Kobe Bryant, you wouldn't give it 2 thoughts. Yeah. Just another guy over there walking down the street.
Right.
If you would have taken the time to stop and say hi and found out a little bit about him, you would have known more about him than you do by watching him on TV.
True.
Oh, what about the guy that's sitting on a street corner, smelly, grubby, wearing a Vietnam veteran, a World War II veteran hat, whatever he might have on?
Yep.
Why not give him 5 minutes of your time to sit down and say, hey, how you doing? Yep. Tell me a little bit about your life.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that you can walk away with the same feeling of getting to know the guy that the grub on the corner everybody laughs at.
Yeah.
Than you would by, watching sports figures, music figures, movie figures, and saying, hey, I got inspiration from whoever.
Yeah.
I put into practice a lot. Someday, go down to the courthouse in Scranton or Wilkes-Barre.
Yep.
Walk around the courthouse and say hi to people. Just randomly walk up to them and say, good morning, how's your day going? Now, 20 years ago, I did this.
Yeah.
I almost got arrested for harassing the populace, okay?
Oh, wow.
Just for being friendly.
Wow.
Wasn't flashy, wasn't nothing, just wasn't all women, wasn't all guys, nothing like that. Just randomly say, good morning, how's your day going?
Yep.
The lady ran right into the courthouse and got the sheriff, said, there's a guy out there harassing you.
Wow.
Good morning. Now, you can go down to the courthouse, and I've tried it lately, with a smile on your face and say good morning to people, to say good morning back to you. So somewhere along the lines of what we're all talking about as far as humanity and everything, something's changing for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So, but try it someday. Just, randomly talk to a stranger, that, especially homeless people, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
And you can find out a lot more from a person who lost everything than you can from a person who got everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my philosophy about people. It just, all lives are the same.
Yeah. And we take them for granted too. There's so many people that you kind of forget that each person has their own story and something to share and something to offer. And that was one of the real major benefits of going and hiking the AT, the Appalachian Trail, was there's not a lot of people out there. I mean, there are, but like when you have time with people, it's like you have like one-on-one time with people to like listen to what they have to say and understand why they're out there and understand why they're doing it, what they're running away from, what they're running towards, what they're putting on pause, what they're, and like really get to know people. And like, we don't always do that. You're right. And we should take more opportunities to do that.
We can't, because life is really hectic.
Yeah.
But if you have the time to do it, I mean, I did it when I was a kid. I just, I never fit in right. I just had the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I learned more about humanity and life from the grubby people that lived in tarp houses than I learned from the people who were civilized and knew all about it.
Mm-hmm. And I know you had some questions for me about the AT. I know you're kind of an avid outdoorsman yourself. Is it something that you've ever thought about doing yourself, like hiking the AT, or like what's your kind of outdoor experience these days? Like, what are you up to with all that?
Well, right now I'm on a walker, so my outdoor experience at this point is nothing.
Pretty limited. Yeah.
Yeah. I go hunting when I feel good and whatnot. Just I go to have coffee, actually, because most of the time I just watch animals run past me. I'm not in the mood to shoot them anymore.
Yeah.
And I have my coffee and just enjoy nature.
That's good.
As far as doing the AT, I never really had an inkling to do it because I was always out somewhere anyway.
Doing something else, yep.
Because to be honest with you, anywhere, well, the Mount Cobb, anywhere within 30 miles of Mount Cobb, I've been on foot.
Oh, yeah?
So I've gone for weeks on end. Like one trip was from here to Hancock, New York, through the woods and through the cities. And most of it was poop and snoop because it's all private property. So, nobody understands, hey, I just want to walk across your field because I want to walk to Honesdale just for the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that don't go over so well. But, I made a trip to Hancock, New York. I made a trip to Hazleton. I made a trip to Montrose.
Is that something you got into as a young man or as a teenager? Or like, how did you get into all that stuff? Your old man or what?
Well, to be honest with you, like I said, I was doing drugs and smoking and everything when I was 11 years old. My parents really didn't give a shit what happened to me.
Uh-huh.
And you actually know the other guy, Jimmy Zacher.
Of course.
Senior, of course.
Yeah.
His mom and dad is basically in the same boat. We were wild children, basically raised ourselves.
Yeah.
And one day I got sick of it. And there was stuff going on at home. I'm not going to get into details,
Sure.
but there was stuff going on at home.
Yeah.
I got sick of it, and I packed up a little kid I had, and I just took off.
Yeah.
I lived over here on the mountain on behind Simeon's farm for a year and a half in the woods.
Yeah.
And that blizzard of 78 that everybody talks about, my dad actually come over and said to me, "Hey, listen, we've got a really bad blizzard coming in. You need to get home."
Whoa, yeah.
And after about the first 9 inches, I was like, I better get the hell out of here. And I came back to the house. But
wow.
Yeah, I would have been snowed in the tent that I had up at the time. There was 3/4 of a 7-foot tall tent that was up to nothing but snow.
Wow.
But so that started it. And I used to work and work seasonal jobs because there really wasn't much around here for kids. And got thrown out of school at 9th grade. Literally, I walked out of school one day. They said, "We'd like you to leave. You signed these papers, you can go." I signed the papers and walked home.
Wow.
And so I had a lot of time on my hands in between seasonal jobs.
Right.
So, come fall, usually my job slowed up in September.
Yep.
By November, there was no work.
Yep.
So usually in October, I was out, I guess what you would call long hunting. I'd be just gone hunting, period, for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And, then springtime would come, work would start back up. It's time to haul ass all summer and do it all over again in the fall.
Yeah. Man, that's like, I never really learned to hunt or anything like that. My old man doesn't do it, and I never really got to learn it, but it's something I've been, over the last few years, been interested in learning more about it and how to do it and all that stuff.
It's weird. When you're a young man and you're hunting,
yeah,
it's all about the kill.
Mm-hmm.
That really, as you know, and this, I'm sure you've got a lot of people out there that are repeated, but as you get older, you realize it's not about the kill, it's not about this, that. It's just about the thrill of the stalk.
Yep.
For me, anyway, if I go hunting, I don't shoot very many animals because I really don't eat that many.
Right.
Once in a while, if I get a taste for something, I might shoot a squirrel or something, but I don't need it, so I kill it. And there's many times when I be out hunting, let's just say, and there'd be a squirrel or a rabbit or something sitting.
Yeah.
And I'll shoot in front of it, I'll shoot alongside of it, something like that, just so I know I could have gotten it.
Yeah.
And that thrill of hunting it down, making the shot, and the confidence knowing that you would have gotten that animal,
yeah,
is plenty enough. And they go on their merry old way, and I go out mine. And usually I carry a water bottle system here where I can heat up some instant coffee or soup or whatever.
Yep.
And just, like snowstorms, you get a nice soft falling snow and everything's hushed and quiet.
Yep.
You're sitting in the middle of nowhere up against a stone wall or wherever, and you got a little fire going and warm cup of coffee, and just sit back and enjoy what God gave us to enjoy.
Yeah. Pretty cool, isn't it?
It's a miracle.
It is. It is.
Well, from walking the AT, I mean, there's mornings you woke up and looked out your tent, you probably just went, "Oh my God."
Beautiful. It was just.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
There's places up in New York that are just breathtaking, literally.
Yeah.
Not so much in the South, but
yeah.
But up north, in the mountains, you got the cliffs and the mountains and the snow, and it's just breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing about it. It's not so much of the. I try to teach Josh and Tom when he was alive. It's not the killing part of the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hunt.
Right. It's the process up to that point, all the preparation.
You get together with your dad and your brother, and you're out there, and the camaraderie, the alone time in the woods, just to enjoy something that you looked at and went, oh, something majestic for that small, minute second.
Yep.
Sipping on a cup of coffee in a snowstorm or sitting in a rainstorm going, wow, things really look different when it rains out here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't experience that. And it's a shame because
it is.
Sometimes it can be life-changing.
Yeah.
Just watching the way. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you're right. It is life-changing. Changed the hiking the AT changed my life, just getting away from the city and carrying all your stuff on your back and moving and getting fresh air every day and seeing the beauty of the country that we live in. It was really.
Yeah. What gets me is I'm into this whole bushcrafting outdoorsman thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I see guys going out there, just to spend a night in the woods with more gear than you probably took on the AT with you.
Uh-huh.
And I sit there and think to myself, you're not enjoying nothing. You're making more work out of it than it needs to be. And
right.
You lived how that AT trail was what, 8 months, 7 months?
Yeah, it took me 8 months.
8 months. So for 8 months you lived with what?
Not much.
Exactly. But you lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were healthy. You were happy. You weren't stressed.
Nope.
Then you come back to the real world. It's like, oh shit! I wish I was in New York. But people don't.
Yeah.
People just don't get to experience that. It's a shame.
Yeah, that's why I'm so glad that I did it. It's like talking to my family about it. They say it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and most people don't take those. But I'm trying to take those.
Yeah, well, you are Barb's son, and she has a zest for the outside realm of things.
She does. She has a zest for life in general.
Oh my God, does she ever?
Yeah, she does.
It's a pretty good guy too. I mean, I got to know him. He's a real good guy too. But as far as being out there on the wing, your mother takes the cake.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, I kind of want to wrap this up here. Let me give you kind of one more here. What are you doing with music these days? You still playing? What's your relationship with music? You play every day? You still playing out places? Like, tell me about what's going on with that.
I play at the house almost every day.
Yeah.
Mostly. Right now, I'm playing probably 3 times a week. I gave up on the bars and whatnot because, well, I can't defend myself, and bars are not the nicest place in the world to be.
Right.
And so I gave up on the bars and whatnot.
You froze on me. I lost you. You're having a bad connection here coming through. Not getting anything. Well, you're having a bad connection, Tom. I'm going to have to disconnect and call it a podcast because I have lost you all of a sudden.
Play nursing homes all over Northeast. You there?
Test. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, you were breaking up there. Whatever you said the last couple minutes, I didn't hear any of it.
Oh. So I gave up on the bar scene and I started in nursing home.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure they appreciate
the
playing there at the nursing home, so that's cool too.
the people are really receptive, and the older people are really appreciative that you're there playing. It's not like the last job I did in a bar, I played for 4 hours and nobody even clapped.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer of a night, but
man.
I play a couple of different gigs, like with your grandfather and another guy by the name of Lee Del Rey plays through the Scranton area. He's a professional blues player, and just messing around here and there. I'm up in that age bracket where it's you're starting to wind down the time and just cruising through.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Keep playing though. Whether it's the old folks' home or wherever. It's like it's a good way to keep enjoying life and stay youthful.
Actually, I retired twice so far.
Yeah.
And I can't retire. It's something.
Yeah.
Some guys play because they like to play. Some guys play because it's in their blood, and it's just in my blood, and I can't stop it. So.
Yeah, it was real cool. I got to watch my Papa Chick play there with my brother like last weekend. And it was a lot of fun to sit there and play with them both. Dylan's gotten pretty good on the old guitar and singing and stuff, and I was singing along a little bit too. It was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. That's what we were talking about earlier in this broadcast. That's the one thing that brings everything together.
Yep.
That I've found so far is music.
Absolutely.
You can go to a different country. I've been in El Salvador, Nicaragua, the Bahamas, which is not a different country, but you can sit on the beach, start playing, and you'll have a party within 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Of people you don't know, but they're having fun.
Hell yeah, it's amazing.
It's the one thing that brings everybody together, and
That's right.
It can be special or it can be bad, but most of the time,
it's mostly special.
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff. Well, I think this is a good place to stop. Thanks for talking to me, Tom Ritter. Appreciate your time.
No problem, Jordan. Before we get going here, I'll give you a call. I gotta get buddy of mine's gonna go on the AT.
Yeah, we'll set him up. Put him in touch with me. I'm happy to talk.
Start in Georgia.
Yep. Yeah, I'm happy to talk.
All right.
They're going to be starting there soon. I don't know when his planned start date is, but I started in early March, so he's about a month away from starting if he wants to go. So I'm happy to talk with him. Set it up, man. Well, I can even bring him on the podcast if he wants. We talk about it. Love to have him. Love to talk to him any way we can. Help him out.
All right. I will do so.
All right. Thanks again, my friend.
All right.
Thank you.
Much love to everybody in the family. Say hi to everybody.
I will. Same to you. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank
Take
you
care.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.